Hi, my name is Jonathan Craig, and today we will be informing you of the terrible and cruel ways that animals are being treated across the globe and what you can do to stop it. All across the world, animals are being captured, torn away from their families, caged, and practically tortured just so that us humans can gain entertainment from watching them perform tricks and other marvelous feats. Animals are just as living as we are, and if we wouldn't like being thrown in a room with no games, no entertainment at all, then why should we force animals to live in captivity for their entire lives just for our satisfaction? Perhaps the most infamous of all animal cruelty cases is the SeaWorld orca exhibit. SeaWorld is responsible for the deaths of numerous orca whales, and they have been cited for many different forms of animal cruelty, one of which is the horrible sunburns that orca whales get due to the fact that their tanks are much too shallow for them to be shaded from the sun's harmful rays. SeaWorld could build covers and shade that is impenetrable by the rays of the sun, but they refuse to do so. SeaWorld also kidnaps many of the whales that they have in their parks. They literally go out to hunt them, take them from their homes, tear them from their families, and then lock them away in tanks that are far too shallow for them to properly live in. Workers and trainers of SeaWorld also forcefully take sperm from the whales for breeding purposes. Also, due to the small sizes of the tanks that the orcas are kept in, many of them have birth defects, such as the dorsal fin below that is collapsed due to low water pressure. The water pressure of the ocean keeps the orca's body healthy and sturdy, but the low pressure in the small tanks does a number on the health of the whales. These whales are violated, kidnapped, and treated with the utmost cruelty by SeaWorld corporate. Another prime example of animal cruelty is the Surabaya Zoo in Indonesia. Over a 3-month period, over 50 captive animals died due to less than poor living conditions, lack of food, lack of water, and many of them lived in their own feces for most of, if not all, of their lives. The zoo is responsible for shackling elephants on both their front and back sets of legs, meaning that these elephants couldn't move forward, backward, nor to either side. They could also barely sit down. Can you imagine standing in the exact same spot, in the exact same position, for the rest of your life? Finally, the images below show animals with their bones and skeletal structures fully visible through their skin. This zoo allows the animals to remain underfed and malnourished, leading to hardly any fat or muscle to protect their fragile bones from injury. These animals don't need to live the way that they do. People around the world can unite to stop this horrible treatment of animals. The problem is that the vast majority of people who see this video will turn their head the other way. But what if it was your beloved pet that was being treated this way? What if it was your cat, or your dog, or your bunny, or your chinchilla? Animal cruelty must be stopped, and together we can make sure it ends.
Hi, my name is Katie Davis, and I would like to talk to you about some of the psychological and criminal aspects of animals being held in captivity. Some of the things I would like to touch point on are psychological disorders found in animals that are being held in captivity, how captivity does not equal rehabilitation, how capturing animals for profit affects the endangered species list, and how captive animals are not domesticated. Animal psychology is a field that has been studied more recently in the past several decades than it ever has been before, and this is because of the number of animals we have in captivity. Captivity is zoos and research laboratories. Some of these animals that are from the wild who are being held in captivity suffer from PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. In chimpanzees, they have a 96% similarity to humans. This means that the way they deal and cope with emotions is much like that of humans, and they view traumatic and stressful happenings in the same way that humans would. Having a chimpanzee in a zoo in a cage is much like having a person in prison. Though they are cared for and taken care of and fed, it is not the same as if they were to be living their life the way that they wanted to be living it. Exploited elephants in circuses and in zoos express lots of signs of depression. This is because elephants travel in packs and they have a very close mother and child relationship. And when an elephant is taken away from their pack, they become depressed, much like somebody would if they were taken away from their families. Captivity and rehabilitation. Few whales and dolphins are returned to the wild after they have been held captive. This is because survival without humans becomes difficult for them. The longer they're in captivity, the more their instincts go away. They rely on being fed, being cared for, and being protected by humans. And when they go back out into the wild, they no longer know how to do a lot of these things for themselves. And they usually are killed within the first several months of being released back into the wild. Poaching and domesticating animals. Selling wild animals can cause poaching because wild and exotic animals have high values. In 2013, 100 elephants in Africa every single day was poached for their ivory tusks and for their valuable skins. Domestic animals are very different from wild animals that are attempting to be domesticated. For example, a wild cat like a bobcat cannot be domesticated into being a household kitten, much like a wolf cannot be domesticated into being a normal household dog. Most injuries from animals in households are from animals that should be in the wild that people are attempting to domesticate, and it just doesn't work. Our conclusion for today is to show you that animals that are held in captivity have a much less life expectancy, and they have a much lower quality of life. Orcas in the wild can live up to 60 to 90 years, and the median age of orcas held in captivity is only 9 years. Thank you for listening to our presentation today, and we hope that you understand that holding animals in captivity is not good for them. Thank you.